Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, and in today's video we are going to be checking out the brand new 2DS XL. This launches next week on July the 28th, and thanks to Nintendo I have an early one that I can check out, unbox and show to you guys. So in this video we're going to dive inside, see what it looks like and compare it with some other handheld consoles, most notably Nintendo 3DS and of course the Nintendo Switch. Now, this particular model, the new 2DS XL, actually comes in two different colours. There's this one, the black and turquoise model, as it's called, predominantly black with turquoise accents, buttons, switches, etc. And there is the white and orange one, which is mainly white, but with orange accents. Both look pretty cool, so you have a couple of options to choose from. The packaging itself is actually pretty neat. In truth, it couldn't really get much smaller, so if we dive inside, the very first thing you'll find is the usual instruction manual. We don't need that. Plus, of course, you have your set of AR cards for use with the 2DS camera. Inside the cardboard sleeve itself, we have the console, which we'll get to in just a moment, but below that, it might seem silly to get excited over something like this, but the new 2DS XL actually comes with an AC adapter. I remember when I got my new 3DS, it didn't come with one, which is fine if you happen to have had a regular 3DS or a 3DS XL before, which I did. But if you are someone that bought one for the very first time, then having to fork out extra for something as bog standard as an AC adapter seemed a little bit far-fetched. But either way, the 2DXL has one, so that is already a win. Now turning our attention back to the main event, the console itself. I'm actually a really big fan of the design of this one, and I'm not saying that because Nintendo sent this to me. On the contrary, way before that, I already placed my pre-order for the white and orange model. Basically the day they announced it, I was like, that looks really cool, and as much as I don't need it, I really want it. So there's that. But I also just really like how it looks when it's closed. It creates this seamless curve all the way around, whereas the current new 3DS or the XL models have a very noticeable lip or opening when the top and bottom screens meet. Sure, it's no deal breaker, but as clean design goes, this really does look quite sleek. Even on top, these ridges on the black and turquoise model, it almost gives it this sort of carbon fiber look. Almost. If we then open it up, you have this nice big top screen coming in at 4.88 inches, and the turquoise colour scheme carries through into the D-pad and the main face buttons, A, B, X and Y. Also present on the front are your home, start and select buttons. Then on the bottom you have your usual headphone jack, the power button, also in turquoise, and this really handy hatch at the bottom. If you pop this open, this is now home to not only the game cartridge slot, but also the micro SD card slot, which again is mighty handy because if you cast your mind back to the new 3DS models, they require you to physically remove the backplate with a screwdriver, which, let's be honest, isn't the most practical thing. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't tend to walk around with a 3DS screwdriver in my pocket, and while you don't necessarily have to change the micro SD card that often, having to go through an arduous process in order to do so, again, isn't really practical. So having access to it via this nice new slot is definitely very handy. Also on the bottom, right next to your headphone slot, is your stylus. Nothing new here, so if we then flip around to the back, again the colour scheme carries through into the shoulder buttons, L, ZL, R and ZR, being the associated colour, and of course you also have your charging port here. Finally, the volume slider can be found on the left, and your microphone and camera are now in the actual hinge on the inside, which sort of makes sense given that it's a slightly more centralised position to be able to take pictures of yourself should you want to. Plus, it then frees up the real estate at the top portion of the console for that big 4.88 inch screen. Of course, being a 2DS, the main difference between this and the bigger brother, the 3DS, is that the 2DS displays games in regular 2D. There is no 3D functionality whatsoever, which is fine if you don't plan on using it. I mean, in truth, I very rarely use the 3D on my 3DS. I typically turn it on for 5 minutes whenever I get a new game to see what it looks like, and then I go back to playing how I always have done in 2D. So in truth, you're not really missing much by not having that option. The new 2DS XL also has a C-stick, which is present on the new 3DS models, but not on the stock 2DS model. That's really nice, especially if you're considering playing something like Monster Hunter. Plus, as with the new 3DS models, the bottom screen is also an NFC reader, so it can also scan your amiibos in too. The console itself weighs around 260 grams, that is 0.5 pounds for those of you guys on the other side of the pond, and it comes in at around 129 pounds or $149. So, that, in a nutshell, is the new 2DS XL. It mirrors the 3DS in form factor, adopting the typical hinge design as opposed to the cheese wedge from before. It has a nice big top screen, and thanks to the lack of 3D, it also comes in at a cheaper price point. So if you don't have a 3DS or a 2DS, then this genuinely is a great place to jump in. If you're looking to get into something like Monster Hunter, for example, then you could get all that control functionality of a 3DS thanks to the slide pad and the C-stick, just minus the 3D, which as mentioned isn't really a big loss. But finally, to round things out, let's have a quick comparison with a couple of other handheld consoles. Unfortunately, I don't have a 3DS XL, which would in truth be the best comparison point. I went for a regular new 3DS because I like the faceplates. But you can see that this model is ever so slightly bigger than the new 3DS, which is supposed to be the smallest model. It's pretty much the same thickness, but again here you can really see that clean design, the smooth lines when they're closed. And when opened, again similar story. Slightly bigger, but still pretty compact. Meanwhile, side by side with the Nintendo Switch, of course the Switch is bigger. In fact, the new 2DS XL is probably better compared to just the Switch itself without the Joy-Cons attached. In terms of width, it's pretty similar. It's a little bit shorter, and in terms of thickness, again, there's not a great deal in it. So it's a small, light, portable console. And it's out next week. The rest, my friends, is up to you. If you already have a 3DS, then do you really need this? The answer is probably no. There's really no need to get this if you have a 3DS, unless of course you're a collector and you just want all the consoles or your 3DS is on the way out. If, however, you've never actually bought a 3DS before, then in truth I would probably say buy this over the 3DS. Unless of course you have a particular desire to experience stereoscopic 3D, in which case, get whichever one you want. But fundamentally, it is an interesting new console. It looks really nice. Again, for the collectors out there, it's great. If your 3DS is on the way out or you're kind of looking for an entry into the handheld market, then it's great. But for anyone that already has a 3DS, then it's definitely not an upgrade. But again, the rest is down to you. I'm just here to unbox it and show you guys what it looks like. So if you did enjoy the video, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think. And thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.